Okay, everybody, hi. I'm going to do some CPT. Not going to do a pattern per se, so I'm not going to show you any step outs or anything. I've decided that I'm going to just do a CPT today. Probably going to make this a premiere video, so if you're watching when it goes live, I'll be in the chat, top, bottom, side, wherever chat ends up, talking with you guys. And I'm just going to take my pen, maybe a pencil to give me a border. Let's do a little border like that, little wonky border. Let's do a little bit of a something to divide that up into some sections and do some patterns that are straight lines. I don't have any particular pattern in mind. I'm just going to start drawing some straight lines, either triangles or rectangles or squares or just lines, and just play. What do I want to start with? I don't even know. So let's just make a straight line. I go across this line that I made and see what turns out when I just make some dashes and then do some other straight lines with it. Let's see. Let's do them this way. That will create sort of a rectangular shape, maybe. And then perhaps we'll do this and connect them this way. Now, if I end up with a pattern that looks familiar to you, it's probably because I've seen it somewhere before, because, you know, you really will see pattern everywhere, and whether you are following one or not, you will probably end up drawing a pattern that exists, just because, you know, there are so many out there in the world, and you have seen pattern your whole life, and you will do something that looks familiar. Now this is going to end up looking like a zipper. I can just see that right now, which is fine. It can look like a zipper. I'm cool with that. But I'm just playing with lines. You can take an existing pattern and then just do kind of what if. Like if you have a pattern that does mostly curves, you can do what if. What if instead of curves I do straight lines in this pattern. Now you see this ended up not looking as much like a zipper as I anticipated, because I didn't do this direction with these. I went back this way again, which is okay. That's fine. I don't mind. Let's do that. That. And inside here, I'm just going to start making some straight lines and see what happens. Well, that makes it interesting, doesn't it? I like that. almost like piano keys or something. I'm sorry, this is a pretty big piece of paper. I'm trying to remember to move my paper, keep it in line. I am going to work on changing up my angles again. So I got a clamp for Christmas that I haven't quite figured out how to put it together yet. But yeah, I'm going to try. So what do I want to do here? I'm not sure what I want to do. I may want to use just shading in that spot. So over here, I think I'm just going to do this where you do some straight lines and then you turn it and you do some other straight lines. And you turn it and you do some other straight lines. Now, I know it's got a name, this idea for a pattern. I don't remember what it is. So if you guys remember what this name of this pattern is, please let us know in the comment section, because I know it has a name. But since I'm just playing and I'm not looking at any particular pattern, I'm wanting to say maybe baton, but that might not be right. Like I said, if you know the name of this pattern, I know it is a pattern where you just make some straight lines and then just turn your page and make more straight lines. Whatever angle it ends up being, doesn't matter. You can do 3 or 4 or 5 in a row and then turn your page again. I do like this pattern. I've used it a lot. I just don't remember the name of it. And names aren't that important. They're only important if you want to look up the step outs, or if you want to tell somebody else what pattern you used. But other than that, the names themselves really aren't that critical. Some people will tell you that the names are super important, that I invented this pattern, yada yada yada, and it's got this name. Well, you know what? Patterns have been around for centuries, and you didn't invent a particular pattern. You may have figured out how to draw the pattern in an easy way, but you haven't invented the pattern. You know, you just haven't. There's just too much history, too many centuries of people drawing patterns, that it's unlikely that you have come up with a completely unique pattern that nobody else has ever used in art ever before. That's just highly unlikely. In the use of naming convention with patterns is a relatively recent thing, within the last, I don't know, 5-10 years or something like that. So don't get hung up on names, is all I'm saying. Like, I've got a few patterns that I have quote unquote created. The only, you know, and I put names to them. but the only part that I claim is that I put a name to a pattern step out that I drew. I'm not claiming that I'm the first person to have ever drawn a particular pattern, or that it's the only way to draw it, or it's the only name out there in the world for that pattern. Many patterns you will find in architecture. You look in ancient architecture books, you know, ancient Greece, ancient Rome, a lot of patterns show up. And they don't have particular names. They're not, you know, called anything in particular. Matter of fact, in a lot of books it's called, you know, column design 1, column design 2, or whatever, because it was a motif that was frequent on a particular type of building, like on a Roman column, or Greek, that Greek key kind of pattern, which was typical of ancient Greece. That's all. This is very similar to that. This part here, that's similar to a Greek key type pattern. They would often do like this and then come up and around and down, you know, something like that would be similar to a Greek key motif. I just didn't do that right at all, but you know what I'm trying to talk about, right? Is this ancient up and down and over and around, and follow the yellow brick road here. That is not a particular pattern, but it's reminiscent more of a Greek style than something like this is, for example. And since I started over here, I'm going to continue, even though I've not done a very good job, because you know what? I'm just playing. I'm not making art for the centuries. If I was doing some sort of commission work, I would clearly think about this a little bit more, be a little more precise, but I'm not. I'm just playing. I'm having fun for myself. That's important too when you guys are doing your art, is to just play for yourself. You know, I recently had all that time off, and came to some conclusions of some things that I did and didn't like about how my channel was going, and I've already said that in a previous video, so you can see my welcome back to the new year video. I don't know what I've called it. I haven't named it yet, haven't uploaded it yet, but it's going to be there. And yeah, I've came to some conclusions about art, my artwork, and how I want to move forward in the new year, and things are going to be slightly different than they were before. But I have to do my art for me. I can't do my art for you. As much as I enjoy you guys being on my journey, this is just my journey, and I'm just documenting it. Like I've said before, I am enjoying learning new, drawing new patterns and figuring out new ways to find motifs for my artwork. But, you know, it's not the only thing I want to do. And as much as I really enjoy it, I want to move on to doing other kind of art, and I don't necessarily want to do it in video form. So, you know, that's why I chose to cut back just a little bit. I don't want to go away altogether because I do love this time and I love drawing. You guys know that. But that pace, that 7 days a week, you know, 35, 40, 45 minutes a day for 7 days a week for like 2.5 years, I just couldn't keep up with that anymore. I just couldn't. And so life is more important than art, even though as much as I love art, life is more important than art, and I need to take care of myself. So, both physically and mentally, and art is part of my mental taking care of myself, but sometimes the art that I do in the privacy of my, sort of like drawing, or sort of like making a journal, a diary of sorts. There are some that are like your travel journal, and it's just memories of where you've been and what you did on certain days, and it's something that you share with your friends or your family and say, remember when we did this, remember when we did that, and it's a documentation of that type of thing. You know, your bullet journals, your scrapbooks, that kind of thing. And then there's the private diaries, the ones where you bare your soul, the ones where you put your hurts and your feelings about other people and things you don't want to say out loud, sort of your therapy. Well, that happens in art too. And there are some parts of my art I want to do and I need to do for my mental health, and I am not willing to share with you guys, because it's different when I know that you're watching. What I do is different than when I am in the privacy of, you know, of my quiet time. So what I'm saying is I need to have some more of that private time, art time. And in order to do that, something had to give. And YouTube time was one of those times that had to give. Over here, I'm gonna do some more. What was that? Oh, just the wind starting to pick up. Okay. Out of the corner of my eye, out the window, something didn't look quite right, but it's just the wind. Okay. I'm thinking maybe more triangular shapes on this side. As much as I'd like to add some curves in here, and I did put some subtle curves here and here, but I'm trying to stick to just the straight lines. So you guys can see what can be done with just a straight line. And then maybe Something like that. I'm going to work on shading and see if shading will. I really like it this way. CPT lines. Let's do a little shading. Oh, need to sharpen my pencil. And I want to get rid of these lines around the edges and this. Like that. Get rid of all of that. And I think something like that, maybe. So if you guys are watching this on the live premiere, chat with me. Don't leave me hanging. I don't mind answering questions or just having a general chat about life or whatever. If you are on the replay, you should be able to see what people were chatting about. I think that's how it's supposed to work. I've only done one other of these types of videos, so we'll see how that goes. If they are popular, I'll do more. We'll see. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about anything right at the moment. Life is taking me for a bit of a ride lately, so like I said, I want to do some other things. This can be a little fiddly over here with the shading, because I want to do all the spots where they overlap, but I'm not going to get over concerned about it. If I miss a spot, I miss a spot. I know you guys sometimes on my videos will say, you missed a spot. Yep, I did. Or, you didn't do that pattern right. Yep, I did. And because I don't care. I want to do it and I'm enjoying myself, but you know, if I'm not perfect, then I'm not perfect. It's okay. I don't have to be perfect. Matter of fact, I know I'm really not perfect. So if things don't go according to plan, I need to be okay with it, because you just do. You need to be okay with things not going according to plan. You know, I had this idea in my head that doing this on YouTube was going to go a certain way, and now it's going a different way, and that's okay. I'm okay with it. I want this side, and then I want this side. Like that. Okay, let's blend and see what happens here. I had recently somebody comment on my shading video. I had even forgotten I'd done that. It was such a long time ago. So if you guys have questions about shading, just go to the search bar on my channel and type in shading, and you should be able to find that video. I kind of go over general shapes, not a particular pattern, but just shapes and you know, how shading works, and the angle of the light source and that sort of thing. You don't have to have a light source angle in your patterns, but if you choose to, I show you how that works. That was a long time ago. Gosh, feels like an age. Just feels like an age. I need to figure out how to use the new clamp thing I got for my videos. I got this big old monster thing. It's huge. And I got this big old clamp thing. It also is huge. And it's supposed to be able to help me connect my camera in a better angle so you guys can see better. But I haven't figured out how to exactly put all the pieces together yet. Something doesn't seem quite right. I've tried it a couple of times, and I think I might need one extra part that I don't have for it to go the angle that I want to go. So I have to do a little more research and see if they make a thing for what I want. And I bought the clamp that was, well, I requested for Christmas the clamp that was this big old one where it's 90 degrees and it's like two clamps put together, but it has screws in there. I'm thinking I want to take it apart and make them two separate clamps. The two together isn't working at the angles that I want, that I thought I wanted. You know how that goes when you're trying something new and you think it's what you want and what you need, but then it turns out it's not what you want or what you need. But since I got it as a Christmas gift, I'm gonna make it work. But I think I may just need to do a little modification, which is fine. I probably would have had to do that anyway if I bought it on my own. I'm not gonna try to send it back though, because I think it'll work. Talked to my son about it. He's the one who noticed that it had the screws in there and that we could take it apart if we needed to take it apart into two separate pieces. It's like two clamps clamped together, and I can use it as two separate clamps, and I think that's where I'm going to want to do with it. One for my camera and one for my light. That's interesting. I like that. Like how that turned out. Do I want that to have a little bit of shading down here? I think I do. Let's do this line too. Just a little bit. Okay. Yeah, that works. I think I'm about done. This was a little bit shorter than the last premiere video. The last one went a whole hour. I'm sorry about that. Half hour is good. But I just started drawing straight lines. I decided I'm going to draw mostly straight lines in this drawing, and I just started playing. Didn't have an idea, didn't have patterns I was looking at. I just started playing, and that's what you really need to do, is you just start playing, and you will come up with things that you like, and you'll discover things you don't like. Maybe, you know, you decide this part here is not for you, and you want to, you know, do more in there. You can do that. You know, don't follow me. I'm just showing you what I'm doing here, just off the top of my head, without any plan, without any thought. Just to kind of warm myself up and do something that I don't have to worry about whether or not it looks like something it's supposed to look like. Because that sometimes can be a really stumbling block for people when they're trying to do a pattern and then it doesn't look like what you think the pattern should look like. And then you get all frustrated. Excuse me. It's good to take some time to just do something that's not supposed to look like anybody else's particular pattern, and just play with lines, play with curves, play with straight lines, play with circles. The basic shapes of patterns of CPT, and just play with the patterns and the shapes and not necessarily make a particular thing. And that kind of loosens you up. This has been a good exercise for me. I really needed it today. Yeah, like I said, there's some things happening in my life that I really need to work out. And so, you know, things will be fine. Things will be better. It's not horrible. It's not life-threatening or life-changing stuff going on in my life. It's just some stressors. And I needed to get it out on paper. And this was a good way to do that. And I think I'm going to go do that some more in my more private journal. Someplace where I can actually write some stuff. A lot of times, what I like to do, let me mention this real quick, is I like to, let me find a little piece of paper. Hang on. Hang on. I'm coming. Don't go away. Here's just a little one, right? Let me zoom in on it. And what I like to do sometimes, if I'm having a stressful time, is write down on here what my problems or concerns or stressors are. You know, maybe it's work, which it is. Maybe it's my schedule, which it is. Maybe it's vacation, which it's not, but maybe it is. Maybe it's, you know, maybe I'll write down a whole phrase. You know, maybe I'll write this direction, and turn it around, and then write more about, you know, and you know, and I'll journal, and I'll journal it in a way where, you know, nobody can really read it. I can't hardly read it. This may or may not be anything in particular that I'm worried about right now. Some of it was, some of it's just completely made up and just for the purposes of this video. And then I will draw over it. You know, maybe when I do my just lines, and just draw lines. Not a particular pattern, just like we just did. Stick some mocha up in here, right? And maybe some of this. I'm just doing something real quick, as I would usually do this more thoughtfully, but you know, I'm just giving you guys an idea of what you might do on top. Often I will get out my paints or my markers and completely cover this so that that you don't see it at all, you know. That all what I wrote disappears in the art, in the background of it. And as I'm working out whatever this was on the page, it starts to fade, or I start to think of solutions or ways to cope with whatever it is that I'm having troubles with. All of these things, I try to, as I'm working, I think about these things, and I work through some of the issues that I'm having. Sometimes I don't get them all worked through. Sometimes I have to do this multiple times. Sometimes I have to, you know, let it go and come back to it later. But sometimes just the act of putting the stressor of my day on paper, like in a diary, and then obliterating it with art, can create a sense of peace within me. And it's how I cope with stuff. You know, everybody's got to cope with stuff, and this is my coping mechanism. Art is my coping mechanism. But I might do something like this, and then take my blending stump maybe and just completely smudge all that, what I wrote. So I can't see it, no one else can see it. It's a personal and private rant. You know, it could be, this is especially helpful when I'm really upset and I can just write all those curse words out and say some really mean, nasty, horrible things, and then I can cover it all up with something and try to make something pretty out of it, and I can kind of release it into the world and say, okay, I've done what I can, and I can move forward. I may not be able to get past it right away, but I'm able to move forward a little bit, and that really helps me. And I'm hoping maybe you can take something from that. But I'm just saying that right now I need to do a lot of this kind of stuff, and I can't do this on video because I really want to write out the whole whatever's going on in my life. I need to do that, and that is private, and it's not going to be shared with you guys. It's not going to be shared with anybody. It's going to be private. It's going to be behind my other art, and I may do it this way with tangle patterns. I may do it with abstract art. Probably do it with abstract art. I'll get out my paints and I'll slather this with paint, and I'll slather with other things, and I'll put some collage on top, and it will become a thing, and it'll be fine. Nobody will know all this stuff is underneath it, but I will. And it'll be my personal healing place for that thing that's going on in my life. And just maybe that's helpful for you guys. I don't know. But anyway, this has gone on long enough. I will see you guys on another video. And yeah, go out and do something nice for someone today. Put your stuff in your art, or just play and enjoy yourself, and don't stress so much. I need to take my own advice. Right now I'm in a very stressful place, and you know, I'll get over it. It will come in time, but at the moment there's some things going on. So you know, you go out and do something nice for someone today. That helps get you out of some of that stressful place, and I need to do that as well. And I will see you guys on the next video. Bye-bye.